The following video is brought to you by the guys at the Wrecking and Racing Podcast, a NASCAR podcast made by the fans for the fans. Check them out at www.wreckingandracing.com, facebook.com/wreckingandracing, and Twitter at Wrecking and Racing.
Drivers, start your engines!
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Racing 2003 season. We're at the mile and a half of Kentucky, kind of similar to Chicago and Kansas, but this thing is a beast all of its own. The track is very, very bumpy, which upsets the car, and Brandon and I have spent quite a lot of time adjusting our setup to match. Pace car is off. Brandon is there inside row one with the pole. We are on the outside of the front row, so hopefully a good race for us. Coming down to the green flag, a nice long drive up. We don't want to beat Brandon to the line. Restart box is right there, and we're on it. Green flag is in the air. Let's try to not let these guys get by us. We'll follow Brandon into turn one, try to keep single file as much as we can. Right here, the car is extremely tight getting into turn one, but really does center off quite well. You can see Brandon getting a massive drive off of corner exit. We'll follow him through. Hopefully we can pace Martin Truex Jr. just a bit. And it looks like Brandon is going for broke on these opening laps, trying to get away from the pack. You know my style, nice and conservative. We'll try to stay in Brandon's tire tracks, but if he gets a gap on us, we'll let the race come to us. The second place certainly isn't bad, and Truex is 3/4 of a second behind us. Let's drive on through here. Try to get good bite off the turn. And so far, so good. I don't think Truex he was looking, but I don't think he has the car to pass us just yet. It's a pretty single file racetrack. Once you get in line with everybody, mind your P's and Q's and don't miss your marks. This track is really bad. Yellow flag is out, crash behind us, so we'll have to come back to the line. So we'll do okay. We'll come back to the yellow flag. Brandon can lead these few laps, and we're not quite in the realm of hitting for fuel. We need to go 5 laps, and then we can go the rest of the way on fuel. Tires is another situation, though, but we'll come back around for the caution here. Luckily, we were not the ones involved, and you can see a lot of skid marks and dirt on the infield, and we will take the caution. I'll use this time to sort of plug the Wrecking and Racing podcast. I am actually going to be on this coming week's episode talking about the real Kentucky race this Saturday night. Look for that on Thursday at wreckingandracing.com. You'll get to hear from myself and the gas man, as Brandon has some real life stuff to take care of. So we'll go ahead and run this caution out, and we will be right back with you. So as you can see, we are playing the strategy game just a bit. We're topping off. Brandon missed his pit box just a bit there. He has to back up. But we will be taking 4 tires and packing this thing full of fuel and running pretty conservative to keep our tires under us here during the run. Everyone else that doesn't pit will have to pit next time. So we will beat Brandon off of pit road. We'll be first off pit road. Let's see what this strategy does to us. I'll be back for the green.
All clear, go hard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, pace car is in. We are set up behind the 88 of Alex Bowman. Let's see if we can get a good start here. Green flag is in the air, laying into Alex. You can see Alex get a little bit loose. Kyle Larson up on the top groove. Looks like William Byron is down there at the bottom. Joey Logano up top. And they're pushing pretty hard. Kyle Busch trying to pass us on the outside. He's in that groove. We're keeping our right sides in the groove where we have the most grip. But if we get outside that line, the track grip really goes away. And I'm sure Joey Logano up there in the top is going to have a bad time. Wow, Kurt Busch powering. Whoa, loose, loose, loose. All right, collected in a crash, and unfortunately Brandon is involved. But just looking at the crash as of now, I don't think we have that much damage. We're going to have to come back around and see what our pit crew says. Oh, Trevor Bain really got involved there. But I don't see any crinkling on the hood. I don't see really anything there. So we'll roll with it. We're definitely going to need some 4 tires for sure. That may drop us back, but we'll be with those guys that need to pit. So I think we did take the yellow. We didn't lose that many spots, fortunately. And I mean, tire wear looks okay. Let's check the damage. They say we have a little bit of damage, so we're going to come down this time and repair the damage. And in fact, other cars are coming to pit road as well. We'll be sure not to pass the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Before we get to the line and on pit road. So I'll put 4 tires and fuel on it just to make sure we can make it, and be right back with you. Pace car is in for our next restart, and on that last one, I just flat ran out of talent. These cars are very aero sensitive, and with people packing air under my rear spoiler, I just plain lost it. But good to see myself and Brandon have no real ill effects from that crash. Let's see what we can do here on the start. I'm pretty optimistic still for a good finish, though. If everyone that pitted with me the first time didn't do a good job of saving fuel, they will be short. So we did a lot of saving under the first yellow, and I was still a lap short. So if they didn't do any saving, then, we're going to be okay. I think we just need to mind our time here, get under the 43 of Bubba Wallace and the 12. Oh, Brandon has to check up terribly for that slow car on the bottom. That's going to kill both of our momentum. I didn't want to get into Brandon there. We'll set him up and get them in the next turn, I feel. We're running in the mid-20s, 27th now, and we have Trevor Bain behind us, and he's a pretty wrecked race car as far as that's concerned, so we should have no pressure from behind. We can just ride and let Brandon open the holes for us here. Cars in front of him are going too wide and battling hard. As long as those guys still battle, we can reel him back in. There goes Brandon under the slow car, and we should be able to follow Brandon through here. It's the first appearance of the year for the 66 car. We did switch to the actual 2018 mod, so that's where these new paint schemes and new drivers are coming from. So it's sort of a learning experience for both of us here, and going to Kentucky may not be the best idea to learn about a new aero package due to the bumpy and finicky nature of this driving line. But Brandon seems to be having no issue getting up there and dicing with the 43. We're losing just a little bit. The car is a little bit too free for my liking on corner exit. But Brandon packs it in there, makes the pass, almost gets a twofer there, the Bubba Wallace machine. and we should be able to catch them and start picking them off here. With 12 laps to go, though, if we stay green, I have a good feeling about it. Little loose there, really fighting the car. It's definitely a handful on corner entry. My particular setup here is set up for corner exit from the middle off, and that's where we pick up a lot of speed around the 32 of the Benedetto and looking to the inside of Bubba, but Bubba is looking to the inside of the 34 of Reagan, and that just slowed both of us down. But we got a guy who's really missing a rear bumper, so it should be no problem to get around him once I regain my stature here. Went in a little low there, but hopefully we can get good drive off here. The 32's outside the groove. It looks like he's letting us go. And Bubba with a big slide there really killed his drive off. Let's get around him and set our sights on the 38. And then in front of him, I believe that's the 2 of Brad Keselowski and the Discount Tire Machine. And with 10 laps to go, these guys in front of us here are going to be for position. We might get a top 20, even if it doesn't, even if it stays green and they don't have to pit. So I'll keep with it here, really drive hard. And now that's the 21 machine of Paul Menard. It looks like we'll be catching up to him quickly. And if these guys pitted in the first round, their tires are going to be off, and you know, if they didn't save fuel, they may be in a bad spot. We sort of force the issue there with Menard, and going after the next car, there seems to be a gap in front of that car there, so we can click off some fast laps. And Brandon is really hauling the mail, making passes up front there. It looks like the car is really coming to him, and I hear drivers say sometimes the car is better after it gets crashed. So maybe indeed Brandon's car is better than it started. And with 8 laps to go, we should be fine. Let's get around this K-Love car, get a good drive off here. And as we go deeper into the run, the car does feel a little bit better. That looseness is correcting itself as the car tightens up, as the tire wear falls off, and we're starting to reel back the next group of cars here. Not running our fastest laps of the race, but kind of quick. We're not too far off our fastest lap, fighting in traffic here. Running a 33.1 to a 32.5, and that's tire wear as the car goes away. We'll see now that we're in clean air what this lap brings to us, if we can reel in these guys in front, especially if they go too wide in front of us like it looks like they're doing. We should be able to catch them very quickly. Almost a top 20 for us already. We're in 21st, and we're just sort of biding our time here and seeing if those cars that pitted on the first pit stop do indeed have to stop again. That is going to ensure a much better finish than we deserve. I mean, starting in second, you would think we have a fast car, but we have a fast car for a lap, and I just put it together. The race is a whole different beast, as Ryan Newman can attest. Old Rocket Man can get pole after pole, but when it comes to race wins, he's on the lower end. So a little loose there, have to correct, and we're catching this pack led by Casey Kane. It looks like Jamie McMurray is also in this group. 5 laps to go now. I mean, running about the similar 33.1s, and we're not falling off, which is much better than these guys. I think these guys are really falling off, fighting amongst each other. We can get a good run here and almost 3 wide in front of us. We can go under Jamie McMurray here and look under the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Might get a good run. McMurray's trying to pin us down here. We don't want to wash up, and I imagine the 62 is fighting hard up top. There he is. Kane blocks McMurray, and I think we can set him up here in turn 1. Let's get around McMurray. Really drive it in there. He has no left side. I can't see how that's aerodynamically sound. And then get a good drive off of Casey Kane. And we will be solidly in the top 20. Now with 4 laps to go, we are getting to the point where those cars may have to pit from the first pit stop. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. I mean, we have a solid top 20, even being involved in one incident of our own doing. Being able to come back is pretty good. 3 laps to go now. I don't believe we'll be able to catch these guys on speed alone. We're going to need some help, and unfortunately in this series we can end the race under yellow. So a yellow flag would spell doom, unless it's cars in front of us that we can pass before the line and make up some spots. So we'll just have to run this guy out. We're coming to 2 laps to go now. And we're not that far behind. The leader has just taken 2 laps to go. We're already up to 13th, it looks like. So indeed, cars are pitting. We're up to 11th. We might be able to squeeze a top 10 out of this. If one more car in front of us pits, we're good. The 12 car in front of us of Ryan Blaney is for position. Here comes cars off pit road that had to pit with just 2 laps to go. They didn't do a very good job. And it looks like the discount tire Ford of Brad Keselowski will be 1 lap down to us. That's going to really hurt him in the point standings. He's fighting on that bubble here. 1 lap to go. We're 1.3 seconds behind Blaney. If he gets tied up in traffic there, or if he gets out of the groove, we might be able to pounce. But we'll have 1 more set of turns, 3 and 4, to get it done. Really loose on corner exit. It would suck to crash now. Yeah, he's being forced up top. If we can get a good run here. Now, I think he's going to carry that speed. We'll be able to carry up to Brad, but that is going to be it. So put us down for an 11th place finish. Ladies and gentlemen, only 3/4 of a second behind Blaney. If we had 1 or 2 more laps, we could have got a top 10 out of it. But Brandon was a rocket ship, vaulting himself into the top 5. But overall, not a bad race. We came back from adversity. Martin Truex Jr. is your winner. Brandon finishes in 5th. And there are all the retirements. DJ Kennington, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Cole Witt bring up shotgun, and poor Austin Dillon with multiple DNFs this year already. Jimmy Johnson and Eric Jones with a DNF. That's got to hurt their point standings for sure. Jimmy Johnson does not have a win. He is not guaranteed. Whoa! He is not guaranteed a chase spot. So a near last place finish for Jimmy Johnson is not going to do well for him. He really needs a win, which he can get done. I mean, it is Jimmy Johnson after all. Sorry, Brandon. A little contact after the end, but that's fine. So 18 cars on the lead lap, and the 66 car that we fought so hard to pass actually finished on the lead lap. Let's take a look at what happened on lap 2 to put us under yellow. And we can see there, Austin Dillon was involved in that one, coming across the line, blowing up. He's already 3 wide here. The 34 and the 21. Paul Menard also had damage. So there's a good bet that he got damage in this first accident. That is an impressive view, screaming down the backstretch. And Austin Dillon didn't qualify well. And you hear drivers all the time say, well, if we just started better, we wouldn't have been in that. And that is a classic case there. Up into the wall, Chris Buescher, and Austin Dillon gets collected. Jimmy Johnson had nowhere to go, it didn't look like. Let's take a look from Matt Kenseth / Trevor Bain's point of view. And he got into the 37 right there of Chris Buescher. Buescher will be sent into the fence, down into traffic, into Austin Dillon. Dillon down to the bottom and collects a bunch of cars there at the bottom, AJ Allmendinger included, and Bubba Wallace. That was a hard hit. So let's go ahead and take a look at the incident I was involved in, or caused. Here we go. I was up against the wall at the conclusion of that incident. There's Brandon there. Wow, Paul Menard was actually in the fence. Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, new paint scheme this week, the Jurassic Park Jeep paint scheme. But yeah, it looks like I was really loose on corner exit, and Brandon had the closure rate that just caught him off guard there. We were coming together. That was a classic racing incident, and I was in the middle 3 wide, which is not good for anybody. But let's take a look at this 21. He's going to get there up into the fence by Suarez, and then Blaney, his teammate. It looks like it's going to keep pushing him up against the wall. Let's see if we can get a better angle of that, and the frame rate was chugging as it was loading that front stretch, unfortunately. And there it goes, Menard up into the fence, being pushed along. Big crash. There was the one Jimmy Johnson was involved in, and AJ hits hard. Oh, a shove there. So they just didn't slow down. and a pirouette to finish off. Let's take a look at the standings. Brandon with 6 wins, me with 5. Martin Truex Jr. moves up solidly in 3rd place with his 3rd win. Brad Keselowski is your cutoff driver. Jimmy Johnson took a hit that race on the outside looking in. Denny and AJ 1 race out. Stenhouse really on the outside looking in. He needs a win at, say, Talladega or something like that. Jamie McMurray barely in. The Stewart-Haas boys 14 points ahead. I'm sure they'd be happy about that. And Chase, the only one who could drop out next race. The others are pretty solid. But that's going to do it for me in this episode of NASCAR Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week for the short track at New Hampshire. Take care.